Good morning, and thank you for joining the first webinar in the Cloud Security and Validation series. This one is titled Cloud Education. During this webinar, we will be covering the basics of the cloud, specifically for the life sciences industry. Before we begin, just a couple housekeeping items. On your screen, there are icons along the bottom. One of those icons is labeled Q&A. You may use that to ask a question at any time during the presentation, and our presenters will answer questions at the end of the webinar. There is also a chat icon. Should you have any technical difficulties during the webinar, just launch that icon and type your issue into the box, and someone on our end will get that addressed for you as quickly as possible. As a thank you for attending today, we have a special discount code for those who want to join us at Masters Summit in Salt Lake City or Masters Conference in Milan. You'll want to hang on until the very end to receive your code. Our expert speakers today are Adam Decaria, who is the Executive Vice President for Customer Success for MasterControl, and James Francum, who is the CEO of GxP Consulting. And now, let me turn the time over to our presenters.
Welcome everybody. I'm Adam Decaria. I'm the Executive Vice President at MasterControl, and I'm joined by James Francum from one of our partners, GxP-CC, and we are going to talk to you today about the cloud. It's one of a three-part series, and we're going to learn a little more about the cloud and what it means for life sciences. Thank you, Adam.
So, starting off, what is actually the cloud? A lot of people are talking about it. We hear a lot about it. It seems like all technology is going to a cloud-based system, but what is it really? That's what we want to talk about in today's series. So looking at this, cloud computing is basically, it's just accessing computing technologies, making sure that you can have access to servers, storage, databases, applications over the internet instead of using your company's in-house computing infrastructure. Basically, the cloud itself, it's an ecosystem where companies leverage advanced computing capabilities at a much lower cost. So what we're looking at is in your current IT environments, if you keep them on site, what you're going to have is you maybe have a server room, you might have a server rack, you may have a couple of servers that are available. When you're looking at a cloud, you're actually having an almost unlimited amount of resources that are available to you for processing of data and for utilization of data. A lot of people ask us when we work with our customers, you know, this whole cloud thing is new. Is it safe? Is it secure? Is this something that is it going to be painful to get to it? And how do I use it the best way? And what we notice is really a lot of us are using the cloud every single day. There's a lot of technologies that we see every day. Either it's maybe using Google Mail or using Google Maps, or even just ordering something on Amazon. Or even just reading a book. These are things done that are supported by utilizing cloud technologies. So as a consumer, we're already faced with using cloud every single day from a consumer perspective. When we look at cloud at a company level, this is actually where more and more companies are evolving towards and getting into cloud-based solutions, especially when we look at what MasterControl is doing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our customers are going to ask the question like, okay, well, is cloud secure? Is it safe? And those kinds of things, and what data is being stored in the cloud. I think, you know, we really need to just understand a lot of our data is already there, right? We're using it every day, and all those applications that we're using and the data that we're transacting in the cloud is absolutely secure, and we wouldn't want that compromised either. So
definitely,
there's some more information to be learned, I guess, and to discuss about how do we make sure that we understand what the cloud really means and is it safe or not.
Exactly. So one of the examples when we look at services moving to the cloud, just let's take the example of banks. According to a recent survey that was conducted from Sky High Networks, we can actually see that the average financial services company uses more than 1,000 cloud services at the same time. So this is really what happens. If we look at our general environments, when we look at what do we do every day, we check email. A lot of customers, a lot of companies are utilizing Office 365. This is Microsoft's cloud. This is coming from Microsoft Azure. They put a great product in the cloud. You have Office in the cloud environment through Office 365, and you can do all of the items that you're used to just by using these cloud services.
Well, if email's safe, and I think if my money's safe being transacted in the cloud, then it's probably a pretty good sign.
It is. It's a great starting point. Now let's see what happens in the medical field. So when we look at some of the medical areas and some of the initiatives that could be used in the cloud, let's just imagine you're going to the doctor's office. You're going to get registered. You're going to check your insurance paperwork. They're going to check your appointments and your medical history. All this can be stored in healthcare application systems, healthcare information systems, and nowadays these are all based on cloud-based technologies, because you want to be able to streamline your processes and you want to be able to scale up so that the information is available where you need it and when you need it. The reason we brought in doctor's office portals is because your patient health and your medical history, just like your financial information, this is really private data. This is something that you want to make sure it's available, but it's also secure, and it's also only available to those who should see it.
Well, I guess that's another great sign. We know that our patient health records are some of the most secure, most critical data, and there's a lot of new regulations and laws around keeping that data safe and making sure that companies are respecting the privacy of us as individuals, especially relative to visits with our doctor and some of those very sensitive types of information.
Exactly. So we're trusting our public health information in the cloud. We're trusting our financial information in the cloud. So it's already happening on an ongoing basis. Now, what is really the business case to move to the cloud? When we want to say we want to move to the cloud, what's really the main thing? Well, one of the issues that we notice is moving to the cloud, it's become much more of a necessity than an option. If we speak to our clients, a lot of times we ask, are you ready to move a certain system to a cloud? Are you ready to move a certain service to a cloud? But when we look at the understanding and we look at the basis of everything that's already in the cloud, many everyday services, many everyday topics that we utilize at work on a business structure is in a cloud-based environment. And the reason we say it's a necessity rather than an option is because the more data that we're gathering and the more information we want to extract, we really need to have a platform in which we can run that and we can scale it up on.
So what about the IT teams that are wondering, like, okay, we're built our entire careers around managing IT infrastructure and hardware and software in-house. Right. I think that's definitely a question that a lot of our customers are going to ask is like, well, what's the business case and why does it make sense for us to move all of that into the cloud when we've traditionally held it in-house and we've had our tight grip on it?
Right. Well, one of the things we notice, and we do get that question quite often when we speak to our customers, you might have an IT team who is trained and who's ready to go on today's version of the software, today's version of the switches, today's version of the routers, today's version of a backup and recovery software. But what about tomorrow? And what about next year? And what about in the next 10 years? So one of the biggest things that we can see from a business case is what is the cost of hiring and retraining personnel to always keep up to date on the newest IT technologies, the newest platforms. Also, if you have an IT personnel that's trained on a specific network device, are you going to allow yourself as a company to still change out network devices, or would you have to change out your IT team? So really the main business case and the main business driver here is you can utilize a resource pool that is available, that's trained and ready on a very large scale of appliances and automation that's already there. Now, one of the big questions that we get is, well, what do we do with our current IT team if we do move to the cloud? The great news is they can work with you to add value to your business. Basically, when you move to the cloud, you can take the everyday redundant work packages, the things that have to happen all the time. You need to make sure your backups are always run, but you don't need to have that human interface in front of it all the time. So what we're doing is we're helping the industry, and we're helping everyone in the industry automate processes, become more digital in their processes, and then through that information that is gathered, analyze that and be able to provide better insights back to the business. So moving to the cloud is not necessarily taking away an IT resource's job. It's really freeing up that resource to add additional value to the business by doing more meaningful tasks.
So what you're saying is you don't have to necessarily get rid of your IT staff when you
Correct.
move to the cloud, but you'll be able to put them on more meaningful tasks, more critical business-specific tasks, rather than trying to just continue to maintain an ever-growing, ever more complicated IT environment or infrastructure.
Exactly. You're moving from the role of keeping the lights on to really a role of providing significant business value.
Great.
So when we look at mobility, which type of mobility does the cloud allow us to have? Basically, when we're utilizing cloud technology, we can enable our workforce to work anywhere at any time. If an employee needs to work from home, that is absolutely no issue, because they can get access to the resources at the same speed and the same availability as employees who are needing to be in the office every day. Now, when we look at mobility, often we can see that the IT staff, they're spending most of their time checking on network performance and making sure that all the users are on the correct version of the organizational system functionality. But when we look at true cloud platforms, this is something that's enabled, that's always on and always ready. I always come back down to the Office 365 as a prime example. If you need to check your email, you're checking it at home, you could check it in a local coffee shop, you could check it in a restaurant, or you can also check it in your office, usually through your smartphone if you'd like to. This is just one example of the mobility that you can utilize by having cloud-based technologies. Now imagine you need to do a product review, or you need to do a documentation review and a release. This is something that can also be done on a cloud-based system, and you can have access literally to your information anywhere in the world.
Great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think the mobility that it provides, and especially thinking of IT staff not having to be stuck in a little server room somewhere, but being able to access it remotely and maybe troubleshoot issues without having to necessarily push and pull cables in the exact server room location is probably a big advantage to scaling your network and your infrastructure and making sure that your staff can keep on top of those tasks.
Exactly. Your customer-centric staff can focus on the customers, which is really the most important part, and your administration staff and also your back office staff, they can focus on processing the information that needs to be done, and it doesn't necessarily need to be done in a single office space. It can be done anywhere. Right. So let's talk a little bit about AI. A lot of times we hear about AI and we hear about AI applications, so artificial intelligence applications, and we see this in the context of cloud because when we look at AI applications, they are extremely processing intensive. In order to run an AI application the right way, you're going to need a lot of data, and you're going to need to be able to process this data in the most effective manner. And this is something that can be done with the cloud. And we just want to show a couple of business use cases that we've actually worked with customers before, looking at moving AI to cloud-based instances.
Yeah, fantastic.
So how is the FDA actually involved with this? What does the FDA say about artificial intelligence companies and looking at information to go together? So there are many approved applications in place. One of the easiest ones that can be seen is the Apple Watch. If we look at the Apple Watch, we can see that there's diagnosis tools that have been created for the Apple Watch, which are approved for certain areas. We can also see that there are healthcare apps that are available to be used on a phone setting or on another mobile device. So these are areas where AI can actually help. So when we look at the current regulatory perspective and we look at the regulatory framework, the FDA has recognized this. If we look at the early adopters of AI, about 6-7 years ago, there were just a handful of applications coming in for AI technologies. And then if we look what had happened in just the last few years, there have been 30 to 40 to 50 applications coming in in very short periods right behind each other in many different therapeutical areas. The FDA has actually released a draft guidance request for information for the industry focused on AI and machine learning based software to be utilized as a medical device. So
yeah, that's fantastic. I think one of the things that I like to think about is you often only get to spend maybe 30 minutes, maybe a couple times a year, sitting down with your doctor and talking about symptoms. Well, how amazing is it that we can now wear portable devices that will basically track our health stats and look at our heart rate and look at our blood pressure and do the things that, definitely we're not going to get a very big snapshot in a 30-minute doctor's appointment. But, processing all that data and looking at the health of our bodies and of our everyday activities and trying to figure out if there's anything that could indicate that we may have a health concern or a health problem is really a giant step forward in medicine.
Exactly. I was in a conference last year that talked about AI in the medical device field, and one of the things that the doctors had actually communicated is the AI it didn't stand for artificial intelligence, it stood for augmented intelligence. It was basically additional information that they could get for helping patients than just what they were looking at through their studies.
Oh, great.
So, looking at our cloud environments, just to get a good overview of what type of cloud environments are there actually. So, in a generalization, when we look at cloud environments, we have hosted environments, which means you're getting an information with a data center which is hosted and maintained from your cloud service provider. You have things that are known as multi-tenant architectures, which basically means you can have multiple organizations sharing computing resources. So these are some of the terminologies that are out there. Are we in a full hosted environment? Are we in a private environment? Are we in a public environment? And I have a few slides to talk about those areas.
Great.
And when we look at how is the architecture set up, it can be a so-called single-tenant architecture or a multi-tenant architecture, meaning is it a resource that only my organization is utilizing? Is it a resource that is shared with other organizations? But we're not talking about data sharing here. That's a really important point. We're really talking about computing power that may be shared.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to point out, is that we're not talking about other companies being able to access data and have a common drive that they're all writing to. That's very much separate, but understanding that while you can maximize the benefit and leverage the benefit of using those services or those resources at a much larger degree or scale than you'd be able to afford individually.
Exactly.
But your data can still be completely autonomous, completely isolated and safe.
Exactly. So looking at these cloud environments, cloud is by far the most economical infrastructure approach. If you look at it, what you can utilize within cloud, you have your hardware, your applications, the bandwidth costs. These are included in your subscription models, in the subscription fees that you're putting together with cloud. The best way to understand a cloud is just imagine a very, very large data center that has literally thousands of servers, thousands of CPU capability that is available at your fingertips. It's something that you can use in an elastic way. They can scale to match your needs, which means if you have an application or you need a reporting device that needs to be able to pull resources of 1,000 servers, this can be done at the click of a button.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. One of the things that is, I think, the most amazing is that we can, with our MasterControl Cloud customers, proactively look at their usage and scale those environments so that they never notice any kind of infrastructure-related delays or performance degradation. That's a really, really powerful component of the cloud.
It is, and it all can happen in the background, and the user doesn't get impacted at all by it. The user just has that great usage experience to make sure that the data is always available when necessary, regardless of where they are in the world. So there are private clouds. When we look at a private cloud, this is something that basically you can set up where there's absolutely no shared environments. It's something that is all done by itself for a customer in its own networking environment, basically by purchasing specific cloud space and cloud-based systems, but very restricted. A private cloud is typically the most expensive cloud platform because you're really locking down your resources to a specific environment.
Yeah, and you're also not able to take advantage of those economies of scale by using a multi-tenant where maybe you can't afford the latest and greatest technologies, but by using a multi-tenant cloud solution, you benefit from being able to be part of a group of customers that are able to leverage the latest, greatest in performance, security, all those factors. And with the private cloud, you're burdened with those costs. But if it's really, really critical that everything is on its own and completely insulated and isolated, that may be an option for our customers.
Definitely. So there's also times where we see customers utilizing hybrid cloud technologies. And a hybrid cloud is really a mix between utilizing the cloud and utilizing an on-premise environment. Basically where you're saying, okay, I want to have my on-premise environment available and I'm using public cloud resources utilized by my cloud service provider. This is more to be seen as kind of an interim step of moving to the cloud. A lot of customers ask us, do I have to move everything to the cloud overnight, or is there a way that I can bring specific components into the cloud? We tend to look at this from a server-based architecture rather than a system-based architecture, which means if we need to bring communication to a cloud-based system, this can be done by utilizing Office 365. You have email communication, you have voice telecommunication, which is available. But you might also want to say, I want to have my quality processes and my quality services in the cloud, and that's where you would go out for a MasterControl instance.
Yeah, well, and there's lots of potentials with different types of integrations so that you can push and pull that data between those two resources and take advantage truly of maybe the best of both worlds.
So when we look at some of the cloud usage examples and we can see how it's actually put together, we can see there are public and hybrid cloud systems, and these are considered to be elastic. And when we look at elastic computing, what does that really mean? Basically, if you need to scale up to a large compute space for a very short amount of time, this can be done utilizing a cloud environment. There are well-publicized examples of life science companies putting up 1,000 different servers together to be able to do historical reviews of data files. And the sizing that they put together, the charts that they put together, and the financing that they put together, if they would have done this on a local data center, the cost would have been within the millions. But they utilized one of the major cloud vendors, and they were able to bring it down to in the thousands in order to run those reporting.
Yeah, and it's just the sheer speed at which you can deploy those kinds of resources and scale up and scale down is really amazing. Definitely something that you could not do in a premise-based traditional IT environment that would require you to purchase the equipment, to install the equipment, manage and maintain that equipment. Now you can have those resources scale in as little as minutes and have those come back down in as little as a couple hours.
Exactly. And if we look at this example, just take 1,000 servers, where would you put those? You would have to get the room for it. You'd have to get the building for it. You'd have to have the right air conditioning and HVAC and environmental controls just to host that. So it wouldn't just be installing a server, it would be so much more and literally would take months to get it up and running before you could even start your computing process. In this case, as you said, it's really a matter of minutes and it's in the thousands and not in the millions anymore.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So a few benefits of moving to the cloud. One of them is you can really enable seamless and less disruptive updates. When we look at the update features in a cloud environment, you can really handle version updates at a much smaller and more frequent install process. If we just look at MasterControl on the cloud, You're really moving away from a multi-year update process into multiple times per year.
Yeah, I think the disruption is a great point there. The cost of upgrading, the cost of validating that we're going to talk about in another one of our series, it can be prohibitive to taking advantage of the latest and greatest feature sets and the latest and greatest security enhancements and technologies. So yeah, the cloud really does allow you to receive those updates and those fixes and enhancements, security patches, all those things in such a lower cost and much more expedited and efficient way.
It's kind of like the cloud is helping you rain down new features every day.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Make it rain, baby.
So when we look at our current and latest features and functionalities, really organizations, they need to have the confidence that their technology is reliable and that their staff can keep them productive, right? Not only get productive. We don't only want to have a staff that can keep the lights on. We all really want to have a staff that can help us reach new heights and new business value, so we can help our customers and their customers in the end to really excel in everything that's being done. And this is something that we can see with a cloud-based system and a cloud-based technology. We have computing powers which were just not imaginable just maybe 20 years ago. In reality, productivity suffers when employees need to use workarounds. If there's a lot of manual processes or workarounds in line, or we only have specific amount of resource that we can utilize, it's always a choice. What's more important? Which one has a higher priority? That reporting schedule that was just created would be a great idea to run. We just don't have the server capacity for it right now, so let's put that on the back burner. We see a lot of this when we talk about change management within software. A lot of times businesses develop changes and they say, we really need this change technology available for us, but by the time it's realized, the amount of time that has gone by has basically eroded the business value of that change. And when putting it on a cloud-based technology allows companies to really realize changes much faster. It allows companies to realize infrastructure changes much quicker, and with the right software components, can even help to make applications run at a much better performance module and really utilize much more of the applications to create business value.
Yeah, I think at MasterControl, I mean, our mission is to really help our customers get their life-saving and life-improving products to the market faster. And so when we're looking at what we can do to help provide them more feature sets and more best practice in our products, getting those deployed as quickly as possible and as efficiently and effectively as possible is one of the great advantages to moving to the cloud. It means that we can develop and respond to market needs much faster, and then get those into the hands of our customers much faster than in a traditional release and a traditional infrastructure method.
Yeah, definitely. And that's really what it's about. You want to be able to get a product live. You want to be able to get a change live. That's where the value actually happens. You're not gonna get a big value by having a large change pipeline that never gets into a productive environment. And the same goes for getting a product to a patient. It's not going to help if that product is stuck in development. It really needs to get out the door, and that's where cloud technologies can help to enable a platform to give that computing power to move forward.
Great.
Security measures are industry and system specific when we look at this. Different companies have different IT security needs depending on what they're going to do within their infrastructure. But the level of security often requires very clear continuous monitoring, very clear management. And this is a point that is very, very difficult when we look at it with small teams. If we look at the regulated industry, if we look at the healthcare regulated industry and the life science regulated industry, there's really a high demand for information security for certain areas and for certain points of data that need to really be locked down and make sure that they're not changed, that we have integrity of data and we have integrity of our processes.
All right. So one of the things that we often hear in the IT space now is this idea of defense in depth. The idea there that is delivered by the cloud means that your IT security team is greatly expanded upon by leveraging the teams that sit behind the different layers of the cloud service that is being provided. So not only do you have the security measures of your own IT staff, you have the security measures of the MasterControl staff that is monitoring and proactively looking at those environments. And then we also are able to leverage the cloud service providers, IT staff as well, and all the security measures. So it truly gives you that security in depth.
Right. And this is something that you can utilize with cloud providers. They are very well equipped to handle large volumes of security areas. They have dedicated teams for this. They have dedicated infrastructure teams to put it together. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of moving to the cloud is you're really leveraging the economies of scale, not only in the RAM or in the CPU processing or in the space that you can have, but really also in the human resources and in the technology experts that work for the cloud providers.
Yeah, great advantage.
So how will cloud shape future of life sciences? Looking in this, we can really see that the technology is evolving rapidly. We really have a lot of technical advancements happening in the area of computing power, which are now starting to be utilized in the life science environment. If we look at some of the case studies that can be done within life science environments, some of the things that we see with our customers, it's really great when we look at manufacturing processes, when we look at manufacturing excellence, when we look at making sure that the operational technology and the information technology fields are coming together to collect data sources. With this data, we can really identify and see how to optimize manufacturing processes. We can optimize conditions to make sure that the products which are created are of the highest quality that is necessary for patients. But also, if we look in the research and development environments, we can see that there are basically countless items in the pipeline going for FDA approval currently. For software as a medical device. So in terms, we really see that cloud-based technology, through its compute power and through its high level of digital security, will help companies along their digital journeys to move forward.
Yeah, and as we look at the impact that we can have on our customers in life sciences, our ability to develop new features and new enhancements and new products and be able to deploy those quickly and really get them into the hands of our customers to benefit and run their businesses more efficiently. The cloud really opens up so many new possibilities and speed of accessing those feature sets and those new processes that it really can make a big difference in them being able to meet regulatory requirements and really expedite their time to get their products to the market.
Definitely. And basically, cloud services, really we can see statistics and surveys coming out where about half of all organization level software will be cloud-based by 2023. We're really seeing a large development in that. We're really seeing a move of all major software providers moving to cloud-based software. In the earliest example, as I stated, Office 365 is a great early adopter example that you can really relate to. You're checking emails, you can check it from anywhere. It's a cloud-based system. You're not even noticing that. One of the other future applications we're going to see for life sciences is really coming in through blockchain. A lot of different applications are currently in development utilizing blockchain technologies. Things like batch genealogy, making sure that you can see where did which components go into, and all the way down to the patient level. These are some of the areas where blockchain is really going to make a difference.
So you're saying that there's more than cryptocurrency to blockchain technologies?
Oh, definitely, a lot more. We can really see it going into insurance companies. We can see it in health insurances. We can see it down to product development, and we can actually see it down to, just imagine if you're going to create a product and you want to make sure that you can track back your raw materials back to where did they come from, where were they produced, all the way to the end of the supply chain where the medicine is actually administered to the patient. And you can have a full blockchain technology on that and have it available to the patient.
Great.
So these are some of the things that are currently happening within the blockchain world, and just setting one up. It's fantastically easy using cloud-based technologies.
Great.
So why life science companies are urged to transition to the cloud? When we look at this, why is this move to the cloud going so far to say, okay, within life sciences, it's probably a great idea to move into the cloud? If we look at the healthcare spectrum, really we can see that there are so many improvements and enhancements that are being done on a daily basis. We could see it within document management, of course, but also other processes and improvement areas that are being conducted on a daily basis. Organizations need to be able to be fast, they need to be able to be agile, and of course they need to be able to rely on their data structures they have. It needs to be something that is it's available, it's clear, and it's really has a high level of integrity, the data that is available.
Yeah, I think just having sheer access to the volume of data that they're producing in an easy and a more consumable way really empowers them to make better decisions about their business, but especially about patient care and the services that they're providing.
Exactly. And by having the cloud-based access, this data can be available anywhere at any time. I mean, if you just imagine you're going to call your doctor who's currently on vacation somewhere, they can actually access your file, get access to your records through the healthcare information system. So they can actually go through and help you with the diagnosis, even if they're not in the office, not even if they're in the same country.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see in the commercials, right? Like people laying on the side of a trail or something after crashing their mountain bike, calling their doctor and using their video phone to assess their injuries and potential wounds. But
yeah,
it's a fantastic advancement in technology.
It is, and it's getting more and more accessible to anyone in the world. And this is one of the big things when we look at future technology with cloud-based applications that we're using. We're so used to having access to healthcare, having access to a good healthcare system. There are countries in the world where we don't have that full access, but by using mobile technologies, this gives a much wider range of availability to everyone.
Yeah, we know that, access to data is really how we make better informed and more accurate decisions on all aspects of, business as well as our products and our customer base.
Exactly. So managing data and operations on premise, there are usually inefficiencies. A lot of times there's data silos, there's security issues, there are responsibility issues, and we see that a lot in siloed environments. When we see who was responsible for checking a specific database, who was responsible for locking down a specific switch, and security, it's based on the weakest link principle. If you look at what is the weakest link in the chain, that's the one that's going to make or break your security posture. So what we see is within applications and within cloud technologies, when you're working with a great cloud provider who has those high-level security features, they can make sure that really you have a very clear defense in depth in place.
Yeah, that defense in depth principle, being able to leverage more than just your own resources to make sure that you're secure and that you're constantly aware of any kind of new arising threats and vulnerabilities that are going to hit your business and hit your IT infrastructure.
Exactly.
It's a really, really big advantage for all of our customers that are going to be, leveraging the benefits of those security enhancements.
Yep. So, obviously, with cloud, we can have improved and consistent performance. Looking in healthcare environments, slow IT performance can and will directly impact the quality of patient care. If we just look at some of the areas where high-speed networks are utilized in hospitals, you can see that when an X-ray is taken, it creates a very high resolution picture that needs to be transferred through the local network environments. Now, if you need to send that same picture to another location and you need to get another set of eyes on that, this is usually a process that can take a long time if you're only using local on-site server-based infrastructures. If you're using a cloud-based infrastructure, this is something that can be uploaded in a matter of seconds, and another set of eyes can look at it from another location to help with the diagnosis.
Yeah, I think looking at it in terms of, like we were talking about, the defense in depth, really having access to more care and more professionals to be able to analyze that data in a much faster and more efficient way really should help improve all of our patient care and doctor visits, all those kinds of experiences, but also helping our customers get their products to the market, being able to leverage a much broader expertise in their organization to be able to analyze the data on the products that they're producing, be able to understand what kind of changes they need to make, what kind of problems they need to fix or resolve, or what kind of new issues they need to respond to.
And help them to also realize which inefficiencies they may have in their processes and which ones can be optimized.
Yeah, fantastic.
So within cloud technologies, we can really make sure that the speed of cloud and the speed of technology, the speed of communication is increased. Operating with a single source of truth. This is a big thing when we look at data silos. If we have an organization that has multiple sites and multiple responsibles working and setting up data structures, a lot of times this becomes siloed. And not only does it become siloed, it becomes repetitive. So you may have certain feedback, customer feedback or patient feedback in one system, which may also be replicated in another system because a different site picked up on it. This is something that by utilizing cloud-based technologies and by bringing the information to centralized data sets, everyone can help to make sure that those inefficiencies are taken care of. Because we don't have repetitive data, we have one single source of truth that we're working from.
Yeah, and I think that's critical in companies making decisions about process change or efficiency measures, and really trying to understand like what the truth is and what reality is, and access to more data to help solidify what that single source of truth is really, really critical.
Definitely. And if we look at the new regulatory legislation, if we see some of the new things coming out, really we can see the FDA's Digital Health Innovation Act, and it's really moving towards more and more digitalized technologies. Digital journeys, moving to the cloud, it really goes hand in hand. To make use of the data in the best possible way, in MasterControl you call it moving into a paperless environment. All right, so it's really, if we can move it from paperless into digitized content, this becomes relevant, and then we can utilize all the other technology advancements that are currently in place.
Yeah, and we really are trying to get our customers into a place where they can be compliant, but constantly innovating. Right? We want to make sure that compliance, really combined or partnered with innovation will help them to meet the regulatory requirements, but to take advantage of the safety measures and the other factors that allow them to get their products to the market faster and with fewer post-market issues, and make sure that they're producing the best possible quality and the best possible products they can for their customers. Exactly,
and this is also where the FDA is going with their Digital Health Innovation Action. We're putting it together to make sure how can we have the basis for future technology, how can we maintain future technology, and how can the data be available to increase the overall quality of products, and therefore also the quality of life. So a few takeaways from our session today. The cloud is really one of the major mainstream areas for computing infrastructure. Many of us use the cloud every day, even without even noticing it. But there are many different examples where we use the cloud on a daily basis. Cloud hosted services are expected to account for nearly half of all organizational level software usage by 2030. So basically, if we look over all the different industries out there, it's a move for digital journey to be in the cloud. It's really a move for all to go to a cloud-based environment.
Yeah, it's not just MasterControl that's moving to the cloud. I mean, really all of the applications that we use, third party, it's all moving to the cloud. And specifically to take advantage of the security enhancements, the speed, and the benefits of scalability, and performance, those are all greatly increased and improved with cloud computing.
Definitely. And migrating to the cloud, I mean, it's critical to continue meeting your organization's IT needs. We want to be able to have a system that's high available, has a very dynamic environment, can innovate, can grow, and basically computing resources and computing technologies in a cloud-based setting allow this to happen.
Yeah, and I think as a reminder, it doesn't necessarily mean that your current IT staff is going to be completely redundant with no need to, have those employees on your staff anymore. It just means that they're going to be able to focus on much more business value, business-centric type IT activities, and really they'll extend their capabilities by able to focus on, more business value projects and activities.
Exactly. And life science companies are urged to move more and more to the cloud, and really to conduct digital journeys, to really go through digitized processes. We want to move as much away from offline Excel sheets and paper-based as possible. We'd really like to optimize processes as much as possible, and the cloud helps us achieve that.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about technology, is that it allows us to innovate and produce things in ways that our predecessors could not. So, we're truly standing on the shoulders of great people that have been able to pave the way for us, and technology allows us to move things forward and to continue to advance at a rate that history has not been able to do.
Mm-hmm. And new regulatory legislation, when we look at it, it's really moving towards digital technologies, really moving forward towards the cloud.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, and I'd really like to thank James for leading us in our first of 3 webinar series about the cloud. The next one, we're going to have James debunk a few of the myths about the cloud, make sure that we don't have some misunderstanding and misrepresentation of what cloud really means.
It was great being here, Adam. Thank you very much. And thank you to the audience for listening.
All right, I'd like to thank James and Adams for that presentation and sharing some of their insights. We've come to the question and answer portion of our webinar, and here's the first question we have. Our system operation, data gathering, and report generation needs fluctuate often, even during a given day. How can a multi-tenant environment ensure availability of computing resources with this type of usage cycle? Adam, would you take that one, please?
Sure. I think one of the key components of any cloud environment is that they're specifically designed to scale and adapt to the demands as they occur. That's one of the beautiful things about having a cloud environment, is that it does not require you to schedule an IT team to go in and scale the environment in order to meet your current needs. And often those are going to be very dynamic. So the beauty with the cloud is you have a team that is constantly monitoring, and then we also employ some automation that allows us to scale those environments as really the demand dictates, and it allows you to minimize the business disruption and always have the performance of the environment that you need in the moment that you need it.
Okay, and our second question. Explain the difference between cloud and traditional data centers. James, I'm going to have you answer that one.
Thanks for the question. One of the main things that we have in a traditional data center is they're really expensive due to heating, hardware, software costs that are involved with it. Mostly the costs are within the maintenance of data centers. When we look at cloud solutions, we're actually utilizing data centers that are really used by thousands of clients. So the economies of scale really come into play here, where you're doing the maintenance, you're doing the servers, you're getting the hardware team together at a much cheaper cost for the end user.
All right, thank you for that answer. The next question is similar, which is what are the benefits of cloud computing? James, I'm just going to let you continue with that.
There are literally tons of benefits you can find within cloud computing, but what I'd like to talk about is the four most important ones. You have high availability and capability of data backup and storage of data. That's a really big point. You can really get terabytes of data in a backup in a storage facility because you're utilizing economies of scale within the backup and storage. You also have powerful server capabilities, extending processing speed and processing powers over thousands of servers, which you wouldn't normally have in a regular local data center. You have your incremented productivity for your IT teams, as well as your cost effectiveness and your time savings.
James, thank you for that answer. Okay, our next question is about data control. I see that there are many benefits to operating in the cloud, but are concerned that we would have to give up control of our data. Adam, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, I'd be happy to take that one. So data access, data handling is definitely a big concern with customers that are used to or have felt they've been more secure in a premise-based environment. But the reality is that most of your data already gets processed, is currently stored, and has some interaction with cloud environments right now. So that is one of the big pieces of the cloud, is that your data is actually more secure in a cloud environment. They call that really security in depth, meaning that we extend your IT team with our cloud operations team, and then we extend our cloud operations team and your IT team with our cloud service provider team in Amazon Web Service. They have security measures and teams and monitoring. So when you're really talking about data security and data control, you should have a high degree of confidence that your data is more secure in a cloud environment than it is in your on-premise environment.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, our next question. What do we need from a cloud provider to perform the validation and keep it validated? James, I'm going to toss this one to you.
That's a great question, Jennifer. Thank you. The validation of cloud computing really depends on the project and the intended use of the system that you're going to run within there. When you look at the different cloud providers that are available on the market today, there's only a few that can really help and assist in a GxP environment. When we do projects together within MasterControl, we make sure that we're using the GxP-based cloud providers and use a standard set of deliverables, making sure that all the requirements and platform qualifications are put in place in a correct and compliant manner.
All right, thank you, James. And for our listeners out there, I just wanted to remind everyone that the third webinar in this series will cover the tools and processes available today specifically for validation. So that webinar will go much deeper into this topic if that's of interest to you. Okay, our next question is surrounding HIPAA. What are the security requirements associated with HIPAA and becoming HIPAA compliant in the cloud? Adam, I'm going to send this one over to you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take that one. Well, HIPAA and GDPR are definitely hot topics right now. These new regulatory requirements are really, forming modern cloud environments and security and delivery. And we're currently, offering GDPR compliance to our European customers. We have a plan to be fully HIPAA compliant by the end of 2020. So it is absolutely something that we are addressing. Our current cloud service provider in Amazon Web Services is currently compliant to HIPAA, GDPR, and all other current regulatory requirements, but we have some things to do with our application as well in order to be fully compliant with those standards. So you can have confidence that we're working to meet those standards and be fully compliant with HIPAA and GDPR by the end of 2020.
All right, thanks, Adam. Our next question is regarding customization. Somebody wrote in they have a lot of templates, forms, and reports that are customized for their unique purposes. If they move to the cloud, would they lose their customized processes? Adam?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, in reality, one of the big benefits for buying an application like MasterControl is that you're getting a configurable off-the-shelf product because you're trying to take advantage of the best practices throughout multiple industries, including your industry. It doesn't mean that you can't get the exact same functionality out of your current processes by going into the cloud. A lot of the configurations that we offer in our product allow you to replicate a lot of customized solutions. And if you're already a MasterControl customer and you have even custom solutions you've purchased for us, we're creating pathways for those customers to be able to adapt and to take advantage of the best practice, but also get the customization and the configuration that they need to meet their business needs. So I would really encourage anyone to engage our teams and to really understand what does it mean to move to the cloud and what does it do to our custom solutions and how do we make sure that those are still meeting our business needs, but we're able to adapt and take advantage of all the best practice solutions that are available now.
Okay, our next question, also related to validation. Where can I find cloud computing validation package or protocols? James, would you like to take this?
The validation of cloud computing really depends on the project and the intended use of the system that you're going to run within there. When you look at the different cloud providers that are available on the market today, there's only a few that can really help and assist in a GxP environment. When we do projects together within MasterControl, we make sure that we're using the GxP-based cloud providers and use a standard set of deliverables, making sure that all the requirements and platform qualifications are put in place in a correct and compliant manner.
Thanks, James. Here's our next question. Having access to all the latest functionality is appealing, but software updates still need to be validated. Validation takes a long time, so it seems like validating more often would cause more downtime. Adam, would you like to address this?
That's a great question. We knew that one of the biggest challenges to our customers that we would have to solve and help them to really reduce the cost of is the validation component. So the cloud is actually a much lower cost validation option, just simply because we're deploying more frequently, which means that you have a reduced validation burden. Yes, you incur that more frequently, but you are really focusing validation on the change components. And so it dramatically reduces the overall cost and the time to validate. Now, we're also offering some very innovative products in the validation space as well. One is our validation excellence tool. So we encourage customers to reach out to our teams and get a better understanding of how validation is lower cost, more effective, and higher efficiency in a cloud environment.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, here's our next question. Moving to the cloud would be a major undertaking. Our company executives don't always see the value and how that outweighs the costs. Do you have any tips for getting your executive team to make the conversion? Adam, I'm going to let you have this one.
Yeah, that's a great question and a valid concern. I think I'd really try to arm you with all the information and the benefits of the cloud around increased security, increased performance. You are going to have to incur some costs anyway, whether it's now or it's probably not too far into the future where your current hardware and your current software is going to have to be updated, and you're going to have to put a lot of money into those CapEx expense items anyway. So really it's about seeing the benefits from security, from performance, taking advantage of the new features that should make your operations more efficient. And really, I think when you weigh all those factors together, it's a pretty easy value proposition for an executive. You should be able to easily make an argument that shows them how they're going to gain efficiency, save time and money, and be more compliant to the ever-evolving security requirements and regulatory requirements. I mean, another way to help alleviate those concerns is to engage and understand how much we offer from our cloud service teams in the migration process and how we can help you effectively plan and outline the costs and look at possible ROI and the time to get that return on your investment back. So we are excellent at helping customers make that transition from a premise to a cloud environment, and we offer excellent services that really make it easy for you to migrate your data, to update your operations and your systems and your processes, and really take advantage of the many benefits of the cloud.
All right, thanks, Adam. It looks like we have come to the end of our hour today. I would like to thank Adam and James for joining us and sharing their expertise. If you entered a question that we were not able to address today, our presenters will follow up with you directly via email. As a reminder, the second webinar in our series will take place on February 26th, and we will be discussing cloud security myths. We will be sending you a follow-up email to everyone that will include the links we presented today, as well as information on how to watch the webinar via on-demand, in the event that you want to share it with others in your company. And finally, on the screen, you will see your special discount code for Masters Summit or Masters Conference for an additional 10% off general session registration. This discount may be applied to other discounts, so we hope to see you in May or October for the quality events of the year. Make it a great day. Goodbye, everyone.